I want to talk about that. You mentioned cancel culture, and I want to really get into this because this is a really good example. Well, not a good example, but this is an element of cancel culture where, somebody is accused of something. Now, I will say, Rachel, 3 years is not long enough to be considered as in the past, but there are a lot of these celebrities or people that become famous that then have this kind of deep dive into their lives. The same people that do this to The Bachelor and The Bachelorette is they go into and they find all these old things. Yeah. And they drudge it up. And then they say, well, this person did this in 2000 and whatever. Like, so how could we let him be this role in this movie, right?
I cancel Ryan like once a week.
Yeah. Ryan's canceled pretty frequently on this podcast. And
I need this show to give me the opportunity to say dumb things, right? Look, okay. But really, though, that's where cancel culture is broken because we're assuming that everyone's got their ducks in a row,
which no one does.
Not
at the end
one
of the day,
person,
no one really does.
Even the people like calling people to task is like what you're really like. You're the say all what this topic is.
There are elements to cancel culture I can understand because people like Harvey Weinstein have been canceled, and it's like, yes, Harvey Weinstein deserves to be canceled.
No,
because
of course
he is. Been doing this for a very long time. What he's doing is wrong. Like, he shouldn't be able to do that anymore. However, there are also layers to cancel culture where I think there needs to be room for people to grow. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're all using social media. So social media captures it all. And we've known that from the beginning, that whatever you put on the internet is there forever.
Doesn't go away.
It will never go away.
It's like everybody's putting everything on the internet.
Well,
so like
the big one that I like, as far as cancel culture, the kind of the evidence is Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
I talked about this last episode, I think, a little bit.
Yeah,
but in 2019, they wanted him to host the Oscars, and Twitter, all the people on Twitter dredged up a tweet from 2011 that I think was deleted, where he made a pretty harsh,
it was like homophobic
tweet. I mean, it was not okay. And the Oscar, but to be fair, he came out a couple years after that and apologized for it, and said like, this is a good, and that's why it was deleted. These people these trolls were using screenshots, and they were like bringing it to the front, right? Kevin has like who he was in 2011 and who he was in 2019 is a huge growth. He's a massive movie star now, and he's matured. He's got companies. He's got all these things, right? And they brought it back up, and the Oscars wanted him to apologize for that tweet in 2011.
Which he already apologized for.
Which he already did. And when he asked. When he said that he wouldn't do it again, kind of taking a stand on this whole thing, saying like, I need to put this to bed. Like, I can't keep re-apologizing for this mistake I made.
Because that just drives your career.
Ago, right?
Because it no longer represents who you are.
Right, and the Oscars wouldn't let him host.
I think the hard thing is that people don't know when to draw the line of like the consequences. Because it's
so when should we draw the line?
Right, I don't know.
I mean, James Gunn,
it's hard because
right?
for me,
the Guardians of the Galaxy director had all these tweets, same kind of like 10 years ago. And they're really inappropriate. It wasn't like funny. It was like shock humor. He talked about like molesting a baby or something. It was ridiculous, like so
really, really
way
bad.
out of left field. But it was just like a shock factor, like
trying
joke
to get a rise
on Twitter, trying to get a rise out of people.
He wasn't as famous.
He wasn't
trying to get. He's trying to.
And it was ill received then, and then whatever. And then I think he apologized for it or something like years prior, and then it kind of got dredged up again
when he wanted to direct,
when he was going to direct Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they removed him from the project because like the same thing, like he even apologized again, and they're like, nope, sorry, judge, jury, executioner is Facebook.
It's hard because it's like
it's Facebook.
Sometimes it is good because maybe these things will never be brought to light.
I think the difference is patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Harvey Weinstein there. And there's like a clear pattern of like he's
raping women. I mean, we're
awful,
and
human.
That's what's crazy about cancel culture. Is like we're talking about so many different things, like a
Yeah.
bad tweet and like a rapist.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
it's like,
They
and
don't
then
even compare,
and then there's this voice of like, well, you're just trying to cancel. Like this is just cancel culture at work. It's like, no. We should know the difference between like, ending someone's career over a joke they made, where in 2011, like obviously we've come a long way as a culture in the past 10 years. It's like joking about being gay was so much more of a thing, like in movies and pop culture.
I think what's hard is that it wasn't okay then, it's not okay now.
Of course. But we, who were holding accountable for, like, do we start holding people accountable for things starting now? Or like...
It's hard because it's like, if the person wants to change, it depends on their actions. Yeah. And so I think if there's a time where it's like, okay, we address this was wrong, they apologize or they don't, and then we move on and see, okay, are they going to do things differently like in the future? And I think that's when you need to stop canceling people. If you see that they've truly changed and they've learned and they are continually learning, then like you can't hold them accountable for something that they've already apologized for. However, there are people who do not change and they apologize because they have to, and will continue doing the same things that they did.
Like if you're gonna take a stand on something, like you're like, oh, like that was just how I was back then. Yeah. Or is it sorry, I've come a long way from then. Yeah. Like obviously you don't still mean it now. Like if you've changed.
Yeah.
Like, I think a pretty good example is Robert Downey Jr. How he straight up went to prison and
lived a different life,
living a completely different life, and he changed. Like 360, went all the way around, changed his life. Like you can't go back and cancel him.
Walk the walk,
right?
For what he did. What was that? 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he went through the ringer totally. Like,
I think also we kind of talked about that like passive racism thing, right? Where you're like, I don't, I'm just not going to talk about it, right? Like I'm not going to stand up for it. I'm not going to talk about it. And I think that is what get people in this cancel culture is like Kevin Hart, like. He's not. Maybe he didn't talk about it enough, because I think part of it. I know it sounds weird to like drudge it up. It might sound like you're like bringing it back up, but I think if Kevin maybe had been like a little more open about like, hey, this is what I think now, instead of being like, hey, that was a long time ago. That's not who I am anymore.
But like, so does it make it wrong again that now that I've learned about something you did that you already apologized for, do you have to apologize to me again? Like. Because I know that it happened now.
No, I'm not saying apologize again. I'm saying like just coming out and being honest about the topic, and being like in Kevin's situation specifically with the homophobic tweets, instead of being like, I already apologized. This is I'm not that guy anymore. Yeah. Instead of being like defensive, coming at it as like, hey, that was a long time ago, but this is what I now like think and love about this community. Yeah. And this is what I'm going to do to show you that like I support them. Yeah.
That's the part that we need to cross is like, it should be more okay that he's changed. Like, yes. Yeah, crazy, right? Like that was what the culture was like back then. Like I said those things and you know what? Like I'm sorry, like they're obviously wrong. Like,
I mean, it is kind of biblical in the way that like the whole, whoever throws the first stone, like nobody's perfect. At the end of the day, everybody has problems. And so there's stones being thrown every single day, whether for good or bad. But I think there needs to be space for people to learn and to change things. Because otherwise, like, what are you going to get out of canceling someone? Okay, you've canceled them.
Now that person doesn't get to function in society, doesn't get to make their art, doesn't
for
get
the
to
rest
whatever.
of their time. Yeah, will never be able to contribute to society in the same way. And so it's like...
Which is... like if that person is, a leech on society and they're like actually, if they're like you said, like Harvey Weinstein, cancel him. Yeah, that dude sucks. He's a rapist. Like he shouldn't work anymore.
And so I think there's layers to it too. Like legally, if you're doing things that are illegal and you can go to jail for, like obviously that's different. But I think it's difficult because there's a lot of hurting people and hurt people and.
Of course.
It's just difficult because everybody's suffering from it, on all sides. Yeah. Even the people who are canceling, it's like, that doesn't feel good.
No, of course. Because, it's like you said, like, what do you get out of it?
Yeah.
Well, and you grow. I mean, think about, like, and also it's easy to not think of them as a human and not think of them as a family member. Like, I know Chris Harrison is, not making great decisions right now, but is he a father?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a daddy.
He's a okay.
Please never.
I'll
cancel
tell you
him.
what.
Cancel Ryan.
Cancel me. Okay. Cancel he's good looking, so he can get away with anything.
Ryan. Like he's like a brother to somebody, or he's a son. Like there's like the human. And
unfortunately,
again, I get it. He's definitely in a space where he's not making clear decisions.
He just needs accountability.
But and I think he'll get there. But the problem is like. does he stay canceled? You know, and also
like should
what
he
does
be
do?
working in the industry?
Well, and also if he wants to come back to the show or to anything in showbiz, like what? I mean,
what does
how
that look like?
How does it look like? You know,
I mean, yeah. I want to be like, yeah, apologize, better yourself, and let's freaking move on with life.
And maybe
the problem is the show is toxic, and there's a lot of underlying things, and Hollywood sucks, and
it's hard too because like different situations.
Wow, how much time do you have? I'll soapbox right now.
No, we know.
We do it every week.
We know you will. We know you will.